The following video was recorded by a man who's been documenting what he describes as persistent and escalating paranormal activity centered around his bedroom, a room he says has never felt quite right, and which he's been actively trying to investigate on his own. In the first clip, he walks through his bedroom during the day, filming the space with his phone as he pans slowly across the bed, the nightstand, the bookshelves, the window with the blinds drawn. Nothing unusual is visible. But then he asks a question out loud. Is there anybody in here? And the room responds. Watch.
So this is where I've been getting most of the activity from, right here in my bedroom. Just looks like a normal bedroom. I don't know. Is there anybody in here? Is there anybody in this room?
Right after he speaks, a faint voice says, "Get out." And then he asks again, "Is there anybody in this room?" And it says, "Get out," a second time, just as clearly as the first. He says he didn't hear a single thing while he was filming. It wasn't until he watched the footage back that he caught it. So, what was answering him in that room? Now, his next clip came after viewers started picking apart his earlier footage, and one comment claimed there was clearly someone lying in the bed. Take a look.
No, there's not. It's actually pillows. So my girl sleeps with pillows around her.
He immediately pulls back the comforter and duvet, revealing nothing more than a stack of pillows arranged beneath the blankets. No hidden person, no prank, just an attempt to clear up what many viewers thought was the obvious explanation. But according to him, the real activity wasn't happening in the bed, it was happening in the room itself, and he had more footage to prove it. One night he captured something that he still can't explain. Watch. A tall, dark shape stands motionless in the corner of the room, partially illuminated by the glow of the television. It has a distinct head and shoulders silhouette, enough to resemble a person standing silently in the darkness. Some viewers argued that the figure could simply be a shadow cast by furniture or an object positioned just outside the camera's frame. That's a reasonable explanation. But among paranormal researchers, encounters like this are sometimes referred to as silent observation. The idea that an entity remains motionless while watching rather than actively interacting with its environment. What makes the footage more unsettling is that this wasn't the first time he'd seen that shape. Watch closely.
So my cat's been watching that door for a while now. Oh. Oh no. Oh, this apartment, man. Freakiest place I've ever been. Butter, get out here. Oh, I can't do it anymore.
When the door swings fully open and the lens pans into the dark room beyond, something appears to be sitting on the floor. A dark, human-shaped silhouette, perfectly still. Throughout folklore, shadow-like entities appear in countless traditions. Some compare them to stories of the jinn found throughout the Middle East, being said to exist alongside humanity while remaining largely unseen. Others point to legends like the Choctaw Nalusa Falaya, often described as a dark presence associated with fear, isolation, and places people instinctively avoid. Whether those stories have any connection to what appears in this footage is impossible to know, but what many viewers found difficult to dismiss was Bart's reaction. Animals noticing something before people do is one of the most commonly reported details across alleged paranormal encounters, and the cat's attention was fixed on that doorway long before it opened. Rather than filming everything himself, he began setting up his phone and leaving it recording while he slept. What it captured may be the most disturbing footage of all. Watch. In the darkness, the same silhouette appears again. Only this time it doesn't seem content to remain in the corner. The figure tries to come closer, but the moment he notices it, he turns on the light, and it's gone. No trace, no explanation, nothing. It was as if the figure had never been there at all. After sharing the footage, many viewers encouraged him to keep doing exactly that, turning on lights whenever the figure appeared. They believed the light itself might be disrupting whatever was manifesting, so he tried again. Watch. This time, instead of reaching for a lamp, he grabs the television remote and switches on the screen, flooding the room with light. The instant the television comes on, the figure disappears again, and that's where the pattern becomes difficult to ignore. The same room, the same silhouette, the same reaction to light, over and over. Whether it's a trick of darkness, a series of coincidences, or something genuinely unexplained, the activity always seems to follow the same rules. The figure appears when the room is dark, remains at a distance watching, and vanishes the moment light fills the space. Whatever this is, it keeps returning to the room where he first reported activity. And the biggest question isn't whether he'll see it again, it's why it keeps coming back. Because if turning on the lights really does make it disappear, you have to wonder whether the figure fears being seen. This next video captures another deeply unsettling situation, this time inside a woman's home where something had quietly been appearing for weeks without ever fully revealing itself. It started as a pattern, something that happened so often it became impossible to ignore. Watch closely.
It's outside. What the fuck? Too scared to open my door.
In the reflection of her glass door, you can see what looks like the outline of someone standing outside, completely still, as if they were waiting, not knocking, not moving, just standing there. Her dogs noticed it too, and sometimes they barked aggressively toward the door, their instincts telling them something was wrong, and other times they simply froze, staring in complete silence. This continued every other evening, always at roughly the same time, and the longer it went on, the more it began to feel less like coincidence and more like intention. Eventually, curiosity got the better of her. One evening, determined to prove it was just a neighbor or someone passing by, she walked up to the door and opened it without hesitation. But the moment she looked outside, there was no one there. No footsteps, no one walking away, just empty space. And this is where many people believe the real mistake happened. It's often said that opening the door to something unknown can be seen as an invitation. Not a verbal one, but a symbolic one, an act of acknowledgement, and a moment where the boundary between inside and outside is willingly broken. What makes this even more unsettling is what happened next. After that night, the figure stopped appearing completely, the reflections were gone, and the dog stopped reacting. Everything returned to normal, and for a while she believed it was over. But weeks later, something new began.
Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. I told you. Come here. been there for so long. Gabe, come out. Gabe, it's your mother. You should come out.
Then what's your name then?
She started hearing voices inside the house. At first, they were faint and distant, easy to dismiss, but over time they became clearer. Sometimes the voice sounded like her, other times like her friends, and then one day it sounded like her mother. That was the moment it crossed a line. In the video, she confronts it directly, asking it what her mom's name is, and for a moment, it went quiet. But many viewers pointed out something deeply disturbing about that interaction. Entities often described as mimics are believed to imitate voices not randomly, but strategically, choosing voices that create emotional trust. And responding to them, acknowledging them, or attempting communication can sometimes strengthen their presence, making them more aware that they've been noticed, and more willing to continue. But whatever was on the other side of that door had been confidently calling, knocking, performing. And the moment it was asked one simple question, it had nothing. No name, no answer, just quiet. And that alone is terrifying, because it suggests whatever was out there knew it had been caught, knew the performance had failed, and simply stopped. Whether each of these clips is genuine or staged, the one thing they share is that particular flavor of dread, the idea that something in your own home might be wearing a familiar face, speaking in a familiar voice, trying to get you to open a door you absolutely should not open. So what do you do when you can't trust what's on the other side? Shortly after that confrontation, she made the decision to leave the house entirely. She never confirmed exactly what happened next, but many believe the silence wasn't the end. Now, we can only hope that whatever forced her to leave that home didn't follow her to the next one. The following video was captured somewhere in Mexico, where a man named Dav noticed something deeply unsettling at his best friend's house, a property that is still under construction. For weeks, people living nearby had been complaining about strange things happening around the building. Some mentioned hearing loud noises late at night when no one was supposed to be there. A few neighbors even said they felt watched whenever they passed by the place after dark. One morning, Dav and his friend decided to go check the house for themselves, hoping to put the rumors to rest. Dav stayed outside, keeping watch near the entrance, while his girlfriend Gabriella insisted on going inside. She was excited to document the interior and show their friend how the construction was coming along. Watch closely.
Desde que llegué a la casa le dije a Gabriela que había alguien ahí. Chucho se fue a asomar, no. Y se ve bien puto raro, miren. Tiene la pinche jeta. Tiene los ojos brillosos. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Sí estás grabando? ¿Estás grabando? ¿Y no grabaste nada? Ahorita te enseño el video para que veas. Sobres. Cuidado. A ver, ahorita vemos el video de Gaby. Voy a grabar por si.
The figure Dav saw didn't look like a person who wandered in by mistake. It appeared oddly shaped, standing unnaturally still, and what terrified viewers the most were its glowing eyes. Many people familiar with paranormal folklore pointed out something chilling. Houses under construction are often believed to attract spirits because they're considered unfinished spaces, places without protection, history, or grounding yet. Some say these locations act like open doors, especially when the land itself has an unknown past. Others believe spirits are drawn to new structures because they disrupt old energies buried beneath the ground. So was this just an optical illusion inside an unfinished building? Or did Dav see something that had already been there long before the house was ever built? For now, no one has a clear answer, and this encounter remains deeply unsettling and unexplained. The following video dates back to 2016, when a lady was 9 years old, spending time at home with her cousin, doing what most kids do, playing around, recording random moments, and not thinking too much about what might be happening in the background. Years later, after strange things in the house began to resurface, unexplained sounds, subtle movements, and that persistent feeling that something wasn't quite right, she decided to go back and review old footage, hoping they might have missed something back then. And that's when she found this. Watch closely.
Dude, what the heck, man? Who are you? Hello? What was that? Did you guys see that? Vines. Come on. Come here. Hello from the other side. Walking really funny. At least I got that on camera. Bye.
First, an unusual light appears. It's brief, easy to miss, but clearly there. And then, something else. A figure. When she reviewed the clip again as an adult, she said the shape looked like a baby figure. Small, low to the ground, and oddly formed. But once the video was shared, people had very different interpretations. Some were convinced it didn't look like a child at all. They believed it looked like a demonic figure. Others made a different comparison entirely, saying it resembled Pennywise. For context, Pennywise is a fictional entity from It by Stephen King, often portrayed as a shape-shifting being that commonly appears as a clown to lure children, but is actually something far more sinister beneath the surface. It's known for taking forms that feel familiar, yet deeply unsettling. And that comparison only made the clip more disturbing for viewers, because if something in that video really did resemble a child, then it becomes harder to explain. In this next video, a bus driver who had been working late shifts for years shares something that completely changed the way he viewed those quiet, empty routes at night, especially because he was used to long hours, isolated roads, and the kind of silence that most people would already find unsettling, yet had never experienced anything he couldn't logically explain until this particular night. After completing his final stop, he did what he always does, checking through his rearview mirror carefully to make sure every passenger had gotten off, scanning each row from front to back until he was certain the bus was completely empty. And once he confirmed there was no one left, he began the drive back to the station, already thinking about heading home to his family after a long day. For a while, everything felt normal. The road quiet, the bus steady, nothing out of place. And then, this happened. Watch. While he is driving, with absolutely no passengers on board, a voice suddenly echoes from inside the bus, loud enough to be clearly heard, saying, "I'm getting off here." But when he checks again, there is no one there. Some believe this could be a case where a past moment somehow imprints itself onto a place and replays under certain conditions, especially in environments like buses that carry countless people and experiences over time. But until more clips are shared, this one remains unsolved. Now, this next video was recorded by David, a name some of you might already recognize, especially if you've been following the channel for a while. For those who don't know, David once brought home a doll, something that seemed harmless at first, maybe even interesting because of its age and appearance, but not long after, he realized it was the biggest mistake of his life. His nights became restless, filled with strange figures appearing in his room, fleeting shapes that never stayed long enough to fully understand, and a voice that would wail in the dark, sometimes calling out different names, none of which he recognized. It got so intense that he eventually locked the doll inside a cage, placing a Bible and rosary on top of it, hoping it would contain whatever was attached to it. But even that didn't stop it. One night, after falling asleep, he had a nightmare so vivid it forced him awake. And when he opened his eyes, he saw this. Watch.
Tenía una pesadilla y despierto. ¿Por qué me estás jodiendo a cada rato? ¿Qué quieres? No entiendo qué es lo que... Ese, el quemado. Ese. Y no sé si escucharon lo que... No entendí muy bien. Pero... algo se escuchó. ¡Ah! Ahora sí sentí mucha adrenalina. Se desenfoca. No sé qué gana. Estoy escuchando música aquí de relajamiento. O sea, estaba durmiendo. Ya son las, ¿qué? 4:51 de la mañana. No entiendo. No entiendo. En serio, ya no sé qué hacer. Alexa, luz del cuarto blanco frío. Joder.
According to David, this isn't something he's seen once. He claims that same face appears to him almost every night, but the moment he switches on the light, it's gone. No movement toward the door, no sound of footsteps, and no space under the bed large enough for anything to hide. Now, did the doll bring something into his life? Or did it simply reveal something that was already waiting? You decide. The following video was recorded by a CCTV camera inside a man's home, capturing something that only came to his attention after he had already left the house for the evening. He had stepped out briefly with his nephew, who was visiting for the holidays, and everything seemed completely normal at the time. The house locked, quiet, and empty, just the way he left it. But on their way back, he received a notification from his security system, the kind that usually signals movement or unexpected activity inside the house. At first, he assumed it was nothing serious, maybe a minor glitch or something small triggering the sensor, but when he opened the footage to check, he saw this.
D. Front. Door. Center. Center is open. Disarm now. Disarm now.
After he shared the video, a lot of people were quick to dismiss it, suggesting that someone must have been inside the house, that the whole thing was staged, or that it was simply a person checking the room before entering. But that explanation raises its own questions, because if it were a person, why do the eyes reflect like that? I'll let you be the judge on this. In this next clip, a man shares an experience that began in the most ordinary way. Something as simple as going downstairs in the middle of the night to get a glass of water, a routine that should have taken only a few minutes, quiet, uneventful, and easily forgotten by morning. But as he made his way through the house, he started hearing something unusual. A voice, faint at first, almost blending into the silence, but clear enough that he knew it wasn't just his imagination. It didn't sound like a television or a phone left playing somewhere, and it definitely didn't sound like something coming from outside. It sounded inside the house. Curious, but uneasy, he decided to trace where it was coming from, slowly moving toward the direction of the sound, trying to make sense of it. And then, he saw a strange figure. Startled, he immediately ran back upstairs, his first instinct not just to get away, but to record it, especially because he had already brought in someone to bless the house before moving in, sensing from the beginning that something about the place didn't feel right. Watch closely.
Entonces pues sí me despertaron y me dio sed. Entonces bajé por un vaso de agua y me regresé corriendo. Quiero que vean esto. A ver si todavía está ahí. Es que siempre que les quiero mostrar algo, parece que desaparece para hacerme quedar mal. No, sí, sigue ahí. No sé si se esté viendo. Hay algo ahí parado. Y está altísimo. No sé qué es. Perdón con la luz, es que mi perro se está atravesando. Y si lo suelto, va y le ladra y me da miedo que vaya a pasar algo. Ay Dios, ahí se ve mejor, pero se ve más feo. Ya, deja de moverte. Perdónenme. ¿Hola? ¿Hola?
Some believe it could be tied to the house itself, something that was already there long before he moved in, and that the blessing may not have fully removed whatever presence remains. There's also the idea that shadows like this are not just random appearances, but deliberate observations, something watching, learning the layout, understanding the person living there. Until more updates are shared, this one remains unsolved. Now, this next clip was recorded by a family's security system, something they originally installed both inside and outside the house for a very practical reason. They foster dogs, and with multiple animals moving in and out over time, they needed a reliable way to monitor activity, keep track of movement, and make sure everything stayed under control, even when they weren't actively watching. For a long time, the cameras only ever captured what they expected. Dogs wandering around, the usual sounds of a busy home, nothing out of the ordinary. But over the past month, something else started appearing, something that doesn't move like a dog and doesn't resemble any adult living in the house either. Have a look.
Alright, so break it down again. Where is it? There's the arm.
Arm, leg. There's gonna be another leg walking here.
You see it go over the snow.
Arm, leg, and another leg.
So if that's a leg, what's that? Is that the baby with somebody?
At the moment, they don't believe it's anything dangerous. In their view, with the number of dogs constantly in the house, any real threat, especially something physical, would have triggered a reaction. Dogs are known for their sensitivity to unfamiliar presence, and if something was truly there, they assume the animals would have barked, reacted, or shown signs of distress. But that assumption is exactly what unsettles some viewers. Some theories suggest that certain entities don't register as physical threats, meaning they can exist within a space without triggering the usual instincts in animals. Others believe that if something is subtle enough, it can move through an environment without drawing attention. And then there's a more unsettling possibility that whatever the camera is picking up is already familiar with the space, familiar enough not to disturb the dogs, and familiar enough to move without being challenged. What do you think about this? Or are there some other reasons we're not seeing? The following video was captured by a CCTV camera at Ronald's workplace, a location that, according to several employees, had already been the subject of quiet conversations long before this footage ever surfaced, with workers occasionally mentioning glimpses of black shapes passing through hallways, reflections that didn't match anyone present, and that lingering feeling of being watched even in areas covered by cameras. But it wasn't until this clip went viral that those concerns became impossible to ignore, with many employees reportedly pressuring management to take action, convinced that whatever had been dismissed as imagination was now clearly visible on camera. Watch closely.
Laki nga yun, bukas na. Sasara niya ng biglayan kasi nga ganun ba? Ang talaga yung mga sakit na yan. Maganda yun sa... Lang, ano kami yun. Ayun na. Oh, kita mo ako paano sa Marvel Pinto? Ay, hindi. Ang pakayumaga. Ay, pakpal niya na. Okay, ang lakas nun sa kanya, no?
Dark shapes move through the space, and some viewers believe it's actually one shadow, moving so quickly and unpredictably that it creates the illusion of multiple figures. Others are convinced it's something far more unsettling, that these are multiple shadows, different entities moving within the same space, overlapping, crossing paths, each one existing independently. You be the judge. The following video was recorded a few years back when a man noticed something on his home security footage that he couldn't shake. Footage from the same night his young son woke up terrified, crying, and refusing to go back to sleep. The recording was captured at 3:30 a.m. by a static security camera mounted high in the living room, looking down over the couch where the boy was sleeping. The father says his son told him he saw someone standing in the hallway. Watch. In the deep shadows of the hallway, a tall, thin, human-shaped silhouette stands completely motionless, and then vanishes between one frame and the next, there 1 second and simply gone the next. Moments later, the boy stirs under his blanket, sits bolt upright, and quickly leaves the room. That sequence is hard to dismiss. Many who've studied similar footage attach the shadow person label to figures like this: dark, humanoid, stationary, and gone before anything can be confirmed. Others think it's a trick of compression artifacts on night vision footage, but the child saw something first. So what was standing in that hallway at 3:30 in the morning? Now, in this next clip, a man films himself moving through his home at nearly 2 in the morning after being woken by something he can't immediately explain. He's already holding his phone when it starts. Loud, aggressive knocking at the front door, 5 rapid strikes, then 7, then 3 more in a row, each series harder than the last. Watch.
¿Qué crees que sea? Te dije que ya no subiéramos, pero no haces caso. ¿Te escuchas? ¿Quieres ir a ver? Te quedas aquí. Vamos. ¿No te da miedo? Vamos, vente. Espérate, voy a apagar la tele por si ya no subimos. Vente ya. Dame la mano. ¿Dónde crees que se escucha?
No sé, creo que allá afuera.
A ver, déjame ver si está la puerta cerrada. Espérame aquí. Son solo golpes. ¿Qué pedo? ¡Ah, no mames! ¡Vámonos! ¡Ah, no mames! ¿Qué pedo?
He opens the front door, scans the porch, pans left and right, and finds absolutely no one there. The yard is empty. Whatever was knocking, it wasn't waiting around to be seen. He moves back through the house, catches his own reflection in a mirror, and visibly recoils. Then, the piano in the living room plays a single loud, discordant chord on its own, and when he turns toward it, the brass doorknob on the closet beside it starts rattling violently, shaking like something inside is trying to force it open. He opens it, just cleaning supplies. Then, a child's ride-on toy car rolls out from a dark doorway and stops in the middle of the hallway entirely on its own. He keeps filming. He walks into the kitchen, and the doorknob on the door leading to the garage begins rattling just like the first one did. He opens it and steps inside. What builds across this footage is exactly the kind of escalating pattern that makes cases like this harder to dismiss. Multiple phenomena, different rooms, different types of disturbances, none of them repeating the same trick twice. But it's what happens in that garage that seals it, because if you listen closely, you can hear it. A clear, sharp, disembodied male whisper saying, "Vait," which translates directly to "go away" or "leave." Some think the whisper changes the nature of what's happening entirely, because poltergeists aren't typically understood to speak, and a presence that issues a verbal warning carries a very different kind of intent. Skeptics argue the variety of events across one clip stretches credibility, suggesting a staged production, but his reactions track consistently from unease to outright terror, and he never stops filming. Whatever was in that garage with him, it didn't just want to be noticed, it wanted him out. So the real question isn't whether something was there, it's why it was so eager for him to leave. The following video was captured by a man who had been noticing strange things happening inside a shed on his property. Not occasionally, not randomly, but with the kind of regularity that makes you stop dismissing it and start paying attention. He'd set up a Ring security camera inside the shed specifically to catch whatever was going on in there. And what it recorded during the day while the space sat empty is the kind of footage that's hard to shake. Watch.
Man, look at this.
You guys saw up there. There's nothing up there. Okay, look, if you lived in this house, would you even walk up there for a second? I have no reason to. There's nothing up there that I need. And I know I saw this when I looked up there. It looked like a pulley system. So whoever was here must have put stuff in here and pulled it up. That's what that must have been. And that thing completely disconnected. That was tied. Look, I saw it because it was tied around this thing right here. And I saw it before. I'm not going up there and I'm not using it. So that fell. So, yeah, man.
In a matter of minutes, that shed goes from a quiet, cluttered workshop to something that looks like an active poltergeist event. A door swings open on its own, a small dark object is hurled through the open doorway, and then a large wooden plank is violently thrown across the room before being lifted straight back up by something that isn't there. Old-fashioned music starts playing from somewhere inside the space. A low moan filters through the audio, and then a scream. No one is visible in that shed at any point. He then heads up into the attic above the shed with his phone's flashlight, and what he finds up there adds a different kind of strangeness to the whole situation. Broken name signs reading Mr. and Mrs. Ronald J., with the last name snapped clean off, a shattered Rolex, shot glasses from Sweetbriar College, a women's college in Virginia. None of it belonging to him, all of it left by a previous owner whose identity is still only half legible. Some viewers think the activity is poltergeist-driven, a term used to describe paranormal disturbances characterized by physical movement of objects, often concentrated around a specific location rather than a person, unlike a haunting, which tends to follow the individual. Others think the broken name signs are the more unsettling detail because something tied to a specific person, something incomplete, something literally snapped in half, has a way of suggesting unfinished business. Then, it got worse. Days later, he's back at the property and you can see in his face that the anger has started to replace the fear.
And I came in here yesterday, and if you want to look in the video from yesterday, that was closed. I slammed that closed in the video. In the video, I slammed it closed and it's fucking open. Now, people were asking, where's your camera? You had a camera in here. Yes, I sat my outdoor camera that is right there up on the house. I set that, look, she won't even come in. I set that camera right there in the corner. I have now purchased a stationary one that is going to be up in that corner. And this is where everything has been happening. Hey, you, I'm over it. You hear that, you piece of shit? I'm over it. Get out of my house. You hear me? Oh, you're not saying nothing today, bitch, are you? Are you? Are you? Huh? You ain't saying nothing today, bitch, are you? Where you at? Where you at, you mother... Because I do not care anymore. What's up? Where you at? Where you at? Huh? Nothing? Yeah, you don't want to talk shit today? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Didn't want to say shit. Of course, man. Of course. Of course. I'm over it. I got a different energy now. That thing. I'm telling you what. This thing has been drawing me in. I have been standing at this window in my kitchen, staring out of this window right here in this shed. I have sat here. It's like it's drawing me in. I'll sit there, wake up late at night, come down the stairs, stand at that sink, or look out of that bathroom window and just stare at this shed. Watch it. Molly, you want to come in? Yeah. Well, if that doesn't tell you, I don't know what does.
Dogs reacting to unseen presences is one of the oldest pieces of anecdotal evidence in paranormal cases. They're not performing for the camera, they're not influenced by suggestion, they just refuse. Molly refused. Whatever's in that shed, it's been there through multiple visits, it's getting louder, and it appears to have opinions about who leaves and who stays. This next video was recorded by a man who woke up at almost 2 in the morning, too unsettled to go back to sleep, and decided to walk through his house with his phone to figure out what was scaring him. He speaks in Spanish throughout, narrating his fear in real time as he moves from the bathroom into the hallway, past a Christmas tree and a dimly lit dining area, the whole space cast in long shadows and that particular kind of quiet that feels wrong at that hour. As he explores, something starts before he even makes it past the kitchen. A strange, high-pitched electronic whine bleeds into the audio, and he stops to whisper, "Escuchen." Listen. Then a sharp bang hits from somewhere off-camera, and then, twice, a high-pitched sigh drifts in, clearly audible, clearly not him, sounding like a woman. He checks room after room, peering into a pitch-black closet where the only thing visible is a small blue LED in the dark. Eventually, he makes his way out to a covered outdoor patio. Watch.
Ay, güey. No hace aire, ¿eh? Se empezó a mover solita. Ay, cabrón. Vámonos. Así ya se puso feo esto. Vámonos para arriba mejor. Vámonos, que ya se puso gacho este rollo.
When he switches on the overhead light, a large fabric hammock hanging from the ceiling beams is already swinging, smooth, rhythmic, as if it had just been pushed. He says it out loud. No haste air. There's no wind. You can hear the fear in his voice as he confirms what he's looking at. Some viewers immediately pointed to poltergeist activity, the kind associated with physical disturbances, unexplained sounds, then movement. Others think something was already outside waiting. And just as the clip ends, that female sigh returns one final time. So what was in that house with him? The following videos were recorded inside a 1920s home filled with vintage decor, taxidermy, and what the man living there describes as a collection of haunted objects. Pieces he brought with him from a previous house, ones that, according to him, had never caused any trouble in this new space. That changed. In the first clip, he's home alone when he starts hearing banging from the living room, grabs his phone, and heads downstairs to investigate. Watch.
Banging in the living room. There's nobody else in the house. I've just been upstairs watching TV. Some of my old haunted objects from the old house are in here, but nothing's ever happened. Hello? Hello? Oh! Whoa! Shit. Oh my god. What? What the hell? Whoa. I'm not staying in there. Oh my god. Oh, it's even colder in here. What is that noise? Hello? Oh my god. Well, it looks like my objects are back at it again, doesn't it? What the hell? What the hell? No! I am getting out of here. What the hell?
A taxidermy bird on the fireplace mantelpiece suddenly pitches forward and hits the floor, and almost immediately after, a heavy brass object is violently hurled from the hearth with a loud metallic crash. Then, minutes later, a dining chair in the next room is thrown backward with such force it lands upside down on the carpet. He's audibly shaken, breathing hard, saying his objects are back at it again, before declaring he's leaving the house. Many viewers pointed to poltergeist activity as the most likely explanation, a term that, in paranormal tradition, refers not to a haunting tied to a location, but to a disruptive energy that appears to attach itself to objects or even people, following them from place to place. That would explain a lot here, because the haunted objects theory isn't one he's dismissing himself. Skeptics have pointed to the perfectly timed camera angles and the staged feel of the vintage filter, but the force behind those crashes is hard to shrug off entirely. Then, it got worse. In the second clip, filmed at dusk in the same house, he's alone downstairs while his partner sleeps upstairs when the knocking starts on the living room door. Not once, but repeatedly, and in what sounds like direct response to his questions. Watch closely.
Okay folks, I've just got the camera out because for the third time this afternoon, there's been knocking on the living room door. Now, my partner's presently asleep upstairs. I'm just having a little relax watching TV down here. As you can see, just myself. And several times this afternoon now, the door, either the handle's rattled or... no, it's can't hear. Or someone's knocked on the door. Shh, listen. Hello? Is that you? What the hell are you doing? Whoa, my... What? Are you doing that? Fucking hell. What the hell? See. That you, Craig? Hello? If that's you... So... Can you hear that, love? What is it, eh? What is it? Hello? Oh, see, I'm terrified now after the bloody last time. Is anybody in here? Oh. Just heard the noise upstairs as well. Sorry about my language. Oh, Jesus. I don't really know where to go. What's that? Oh shit. Oh my god. The frame's just smashed. It's just missed my legs as well. It's the frame smashed on the floor. Oh my god, what is going on? It's smashed. Jesus. That has been up there for a while. There's no reason at all. Whatever is doing this, get out of this house. You're not welcome.
The lights begin to flicker violently as the knocking continues. Then, heavy footsteps thud down the staircase while no one appears, and moments later, a picture frame is hurled from the wall at the bottom of the stairs, shattering on the floor and nearly hitting his legs. He picks up the broken frame, a lenticular haunted house print, and shouts at whatever's in the house to get out. For viewers who follow poltergeist cases, the escalating pattern here is exactly what researchers describe as a build phase. The activity growing more aggressive, more physical, and more personal over time. Whatever is behind these events, it doesn't seem interested in stopping. The following clips were all recorded at the same home. Different nights, different cameras, but the same creeping sense that something in this house isn't quite right. It starts subtly enough. The first piece of footage comes from a porch security camera at 11:11 at night, the kind of timestamp that already makes people uncomfortable. Watch. A bright circular shape, glowing, out of focus with that floating quality that sets it apart from a falling leaf or blowing debris, drifts downward from the top of the frame and moves toward the front door before disappearing entirely. Now, skeptics will point out immediately that orbs like this are extremely common on infrared security cameras, usually caused by dust particles or insects hovering close to the lens and catching the reflected light. That's the rational explanation, and it's a solid one. But in ancient folklore stretching back centuries, orbs of light were interpreted as something far more intentional, manifestations of spirits or energies serving as a bridge between our world and something beyond it. Whether this is a speck of dust or something more meaningful, what it does is set the tone for everything that follows. Something in this house seems to be making itself known. That same night, just after 11:43 p.m., the indoor Nest camera catches something with considerably less ambiguity. The living room is dark and quiet, small dogs restless in the background, when without warning, a loud crash erupts from somewhere off camera. Watch. The unseen object hits hard, the kind of crash that doesn't sound like something that simply fell, and within seconds, a woman rushes from the backyard across the patio, bursting through the door in pajamas, grabbing what looks like a fly swatter, calling out for her dog Mackenzie, her voice high and disoriented. She hadn't been inside when it happened. Nothing should have fallen. But something did, loudly and without explanation, in an empty room. A few nights later, at 3:10 in the morning, the same living room camera captures something even harder to dismiss. The woman is sitting on the gray sofa, a white circular tray resting in her lap, or on the coffee table in front of her, the TV murmuring in the background. Take a look.
Because my search is 6 and I have 1. I gave you 6 points, I'm deducting 7. This is ridiculous. Don't make me think about numbers again. A brave and accurate decision. Yes, my captain. Yes. Yeah, holy captain, your horticulture is harvestful. Ah, good call, thank you. Fine. Hurry happily, and Hank is hungry. Hollow hippo.
The tray flips out of her lap as she starts to stand. Unusual, but manageable. And then, after she picks it up and holds it in both hands, it is violently thrown sideways across the room toward the fireplace by something she clearly cannot see. She flinches back, hands still raised, visibly shaken. That's not a dropped object. That's not physics. The force and the horizontal trajectory make the mundane explanations fall apart quickly, and many viewers who've seen this clip describe it as one of the clearest examples they've encountered of something physically interacting with a person inside their own home. Then, it got worse. In what is arguably the most unsettling clip from this house, the woman is standing on the front porch late at night, talking on the phone, a completely ordinary conversation about food and laundry, when the front door behind her slams shut. Listen closely.
Hey, when are you coming over?
I gotta wait for my work clothes to dry. Then I'm coming.
Okay, I'm hungry.
I understand that. I can't just not leave without my work clothes.
Okay, that's fair. Well, do you want me to just make something here?
What do you have?
I mean, like pizzas or maybe chicken nuggets, nothing crazy.
Do you have ranch at your house?
No, can you bring your wrench?
Pretty much.
Come on.
Dude, my door just closed.
So that's the landstone?
Yes. And it's locked.
What the fuck?
I just got locked out of my house.
Are you the only one there?
Yes, nobody's here.
That's kind of scary. Where are the doors?
Luna! Luna's inside by herself. I don't even see her in there.
Well,
Hang on.
Don't do anything rash. Baby? Hello? Touched it.
She spins around immediately, tries the handle, and it won't open. She's locked out of her own house. She's panicking, telling the man on the phone that nobody's inside, calling out for her dog Luna, pacing the porch in visible distress. Then, the phone call drops, and from the interior camera, the locked door swings open on its own, unlocking and pushing inward with force, letting her back inside to a room that immediately fills with frantic barking and a loud, rapid electronic chiming sound that no one triggers. The sequence of events, door slamming, locking, then unlocking, isn't something that fits easily into any straightforward explanation. Drafts don't lock deadbolts. Glitches don't let you back in. For viewers who'd been following the activity in this home, this clip felt like confirmation that whatever they were dealing with wasn't passive. It was paying attention. And then came the night that made everything else feel like a prologue. She's in the bedroom with her 2 dogs, Luna and another large fluffy dog, and the dogs are restless in the way animals get when they sense something their owners can't yet locate. She moves the camera toward the window and presses it to the glass, looking out into the pitch black woods. Watch closely.
Sit. Come here. Can't see.
Deep in the darkness, a small, solitary red light sits completely still among the tree trunks, not moving, not flickering, just hovering there while she watches it for over 30 seconds, whispering and swearing under her breath, her breathing growing heavier. Then she pulls the camera away from the window when she hears a groaning sound. The red light outside may never be explained. Stationary and isolated, it doesn't behave like any passing vehicle or animal. But the lamp turning itself on while her back was turned, in a room she never left, is what breaks the clip open. Whatever is happening in this house has moved through nearly every room. The porch, the living room, the front door, the bedroom, and each clip shows it getting closer to her, more direct, more willing to make itself felt. Where it goes from here is the part that keeps people up at night. The following clips were recorded inside a funeral home, a place where, according to the man filming, strange noises had already been happening for a while before he ever pointed a camera at anything. During the day, the showroom sits completely still, rows of coffins displayed on tiered racks beneath bright natural light flooding through a wall of large windows, the kind of space that's unsettling enough even when nothing moves. He insists the room was empty, and yet, according to him, things had already been shifting on their own. Watch.
Miren, como tenemos rato escuchando ruidos aquí en esta zona. Si vemos, pues está solo. Y creemos que pues hay algo aquí, porque pues se empiezan a mover así como que medio raro. Miren. Miren cómo se mueve, miren. Miren cómo se mueve. No hay nada. Está mi compañero, pero pues si vemos estamos solos.
One of the dark wood coffins on the lower rack begins to rock rhythmically back and forth, wobbling in a steady, sustained motion with no one near it. He rushes over and opens the lid himself, white-lined, completely empty inside. He pans the camera to show the room, and the only other person visible is his companion, walking out from behind a partition in the background. Some viewers think the rhythmic, controlled nature of the shaking suggests something mechanical or a person out of frame, but others find it hard to explain given how openly he shows the empty interior immediately after. Either way, it wasn't enough to make them leave. That same night, they were back, and what happened next was a completely different kind of experience. Watch closely.
Estamos aquí en la funeraria, otra vez, con ruidos raros. Entonces, pues, está solo. Ahora sí. ¿Cuál pinche que se ve? Que nada. Estoy solo a la chingada. Estoy solo. Chingada. Ah, la chingada. Ah, la... No mames. Ah, la chingada.
He's alone in a narrow hallway at the back of the funeral home, scanning a storage room packed with rows of tall silver metal stands, candelabras and pedestals used for funeral services, standing upright in tight formation. Then, one of them suddenly crashes to the right, and before he can even react to that, the rest follow. A massive, violent wave of metal striking the floor all at once, the sound filling the entire hallway. The camera whips sideways as he screams in pure panic, and the clip just ends. What's harder to dismiss here isn't just the noise but the sequence. One stand falls first, as if triggered, and then the rest come down seconds later with far more force than a single domino-style collapse would explain. Some believe what they captured across both clips points to an intelligent presence, something in that building that escalates when it feels watched. A funeral home that absorbs the energy of loss for years, many argue, becomes exactly the kind of place that holds on to something. And whatever was in that storage room clearly didn't want them there after dark. The following video was recorded on a quiet morning at just past 10 a.m., inside a home that its owner describes as anything but ordinary. A living room full of gothic decor, taxidermy, vintage furniture, and objects he says he's collected specifically from haunted places over the years. He'd woken up that morning with a feeling he couldn't shake, the kind that made him reach for a camera before he could fully explain why. The house was freezing despite a lit fire, and strange scratching sounds had been drifting in from the dining room. So he started filming, panning slowly around the room, and even asking out loud for whatever was there to make itself known. His cat was already acting strangely, pacing near the archway, looking back toward the dining table. Then something answered. Watch.
Okay folks, as you can see, it's almost 20 past 10 in the morning. I've decided to start filming because I knew something wasn't right in this house this morning. I've got the fire on, as you can see there, and it's warm outside, but the house is freezing. And furthermore, there's constant, I don't know, scratchy type noises coming from the dining room. So I've got it out there, that's the cat, on the off chance. If you're making noises in here, make yourself known. Do it now while I've got an actual camera out again. It's driving me absolutely wild, to be honest. Oh, it's cold. Can you do something to make your presence known? Oh. Oh, my TV's gone off. Right, okay. Ooh, there's a bit of an atmosphere, you know, guys. Cat's acting a bit weird as well. What's wrong? You okay? What? Right. Thank you for doing that. Okay. Woo, I'm freaked out. Thank you. What is it you want? Why do you just randomly flare every now and then? The cat is going nuts at the bottom of the stairs. If you've just moved that chair, do something for me again. Can you hear that noise? Sophia, what are you doing? Whoa, what was that? What was that? What was that? What? Jesus. Okay, as many of you know that follow me for quite some time now, every so often I'll get a little flare of activity in this house. It is filled with objects I've collected from haunted places or that are said to be haunted. Whew, I'm a little bit shook up by that. It always starts with the cats as well, you know, they know when something's about to go on. Whoa. I don't know what to make of that. Look.
3 separate things happen in this clip, each one louder and more violent than the last. The TV switches off on its own the moment he asks for a sign. Then a dining chair slides sharply backward across the wooden floor with no one near it, and you can hear the scrape clearly as the cat bolts out of frame in the same instant. Then, a floor lamp and everything sitting on the side table next to the armchair gets thrown to the ground in one sudden crash. He's barely keeping the camera steady by the time it's over. What makes this so hard to dismiss is the layering of it. 3 distinct events, escalating in force, with the cat reacting before each one like it knew what was coming. He explains at the end that this is something that happens in what he calls flares, periods of intense activity that seem connected to the haunted objects he keeps in the house. If you follow cases involving cursed or spiritually charged objects, that framing fits a pattern that shows up often. The idea that certain items don't just carry a location's energy, but actively draw activity wherever they're brought. Paranormal researchers sometimes refer to this as object attachment, where the presence isn't tied to the building at all, but to whatever came in through the front door. The cats, he says, are always the first to know, and looking at how they move in this footage, it's difficult to argue with that. What do you think is living in that collection with him? The following video was captured inside a hospital by Dave, a man who claims he's been gifted with sight since he was young. According to him, he doesn't just sense things, he sees and hears them, and he says spirits tend to follow him, especially in places where emotions are intense, like hospitals, cemeteries, abandoned buildings, places where life and death have crossed paths. While Dav was receiving treatment, he suddenly felt like he wasn't alone in the room. Watch.
There's like something in this room. That is like moving like the chairs. Move this shit around here. Oh, my bad. That should hurt. But anyways, if there's a spirit in here, just let me know, you know. And sometimes things, this is Kaiser. Oh, good. I felt like a really heavy presence in this room right when I walked in, but I just thought I see something sitting right there. I'm sorry. My phone. That's not good. There's a lot of things happening here. Again, that door slowly opened and closed right now. If there's anything in here, just give me a sign. I'm here in peace. Okay, you can say anything. Just don't mess with my heart monitor or anything. That started to move. But it could be people up there. I just came up in here. Saw you guys here, Charlie. TV or something. Move anything you want. Let the people know that you're speak into this thing. Show me your hair, presents. You could, I got a gift, and I'm not afraid. So if you decide to move anything, open that door again, I won't be frightened. What the hell? Oh. Whoa, shh. Excuse me, nurse. Oh, that's some activity. Excuse me. This thing fell. Right here. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe it just fell.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I was just sleeping.
Well, that scared you, huh?
Yeah, it scared the shit.
I was worried. I thought you fell.
Oh, no.
It wasn't you. Alright.
Okay, people, that was a scary situation. I know I didn't jerk, but yeah, it's ghost activity. Oh my god. Oh crap. Well, I got the gift, but I'm not gonna abuse it. I just asked for, little signs here and there. They showed them to me. Nothing to be alarmed about, people. Didn't feel it was evil at all. But whoa! I know you guys heard that over there. Woo! Anyways, God bless you guys. I'm not gonna entertain them anymore because I don't need my heart to go racing. God bless you guys. But anyways, I was gonna cut this video short, but right when I was gonna cut it short, something else happened. But I'm waiting for it to happen again. So this right here, mind you, this is the only sliding door that's open. But this right here pulled all the way back this way. So what happened last time was I was asking it for a sign, and it pushed over this metal thing right here. I had to tell the nurse I was sleeping because I didn't want her to think I did the shit, or I just told her I don't know. I didn't know what to, make up, but this shit is it's crazy, And all I asked is for a sign, and they gave them to me. But the thing is, I'm like used to it when there are signs, But in hospitals, there's a lot of activity, and I already know like I'm gonna find something, that would like give me a sign or whatever. Oh, just like that. That was up there under my sweater or some shit. Okay. I know you're not welcome here, so you can go back to wherever you come from. Cause I'm gonna take a nap. And this arm right here you can't do nothing with it. It hurts. So I gotta lay on my side right here. Hey people, God bless you, blessings, and man, pray for me.
If you listen closely, after he says, "I'm here for peace," a faint whisper can be heard saying, "Help," and then what sounds like "knife." That detail is what unsettled viewers the most. Some speculate it could be the spirit of someone who passed away in that very room, possibly someone connected to surgery or a traumatic procedure. Hospitals are places of healing, but they're also places of loss, fear, and unfinished stories. In paranormal theory, strong emotional events can leave behind residual energy, like a recording that replays under the right conditions. Others believe this could be an intelligent haunting, meaning whatever is there is aware and responding directly to Dave, especially since the whisper appears right after he speaks. During his stay, Dave also mentioned feeling a heavy presence near the chair in the room. He said the energy felt concentrated there, like someone was sitting and watching him, but when he looked, no one was there. Of course, skeptics argue hospitals are full of ambient noise, machines humming, distant voices, equipment moving, and audio pareidolia can make random sounds seem like words. According to them, when you expect to hear something, your brain can fill in the blanks. So was it simply hospital acoustics playing tricks on the ears? Or did someone or something in that room hear him when he said he came in peace and answered back? You decide. In this next video, Andrea is walking her dog late at night when something in the distance makes her stop. At first, she thinks it's just her eyes adjusting to the dark, but then she notices shapes that don't look quite right. So she pulls out her phone and starts recording. Have a look. In the distance, 3 shadow figures appear to be standing completely still. Some believe they could simply be people standing under poor lighting, their features swallowed by the darkness. At night, depth perception becomes unreliable. Streetlights can distort proportions, and shadows can merge together, making ordinary figures look unnaturally tall or solid black. But others argue something feels off. In paranormal discussions, shadow figures are often described exactly this way: human-shaped, lacking detail, and usually seen in peripheral vision. They're said to be watchers, observers, and in some reports, they appear in groups of 2 or 3. The fact that there are 3 of them standing together raises even more concern for believers. Some theories suggest that multiple figures appearing at once could indicate something more intelligent or coordinated, not residual energy, but active presence. As for danger, most accounts claim shadow entities don't always attack, but they can induce fear, paralysis, or a feeling of being targeted. And fear is something certain entities feed off. Whatever they were, one thing is clear: they weren't moving, and they were aware enough to stand there while being filmed. Until clear footage surfaces, what Andre saw that night remains a mystery. Now in this next video, a team of paranormal investigators visit an abandoned house that locals have refused to go near for years. The place has been empty for decades, and as many paranormal researchers will tell you, abandoned buildings have a way of holding onto energy. When houses are left to decay, especially ones tied to unknown histories, tragedies, or sudden departures, believers say the energy inside can become stagnant, trapped. So the team sets up their equipment: EMF readers, cameras, and most importantly, trip wires. For those unfamiliar, trip wires are extremely sensitive devices designed to trigger if something physically passes through them. Not wind, not distant vibration, but something crossing the line. As they begin asking questions, trying to provoke a response, this happens.
And see what's popping. Nope, that's not a new tripwire. That's the same tripwire that we use at the breakfast date, that I've used in other places. Okay. That door just opened up by itself. I didn't even get that far. Dude.
You were not pure either.
This door just opened up by itself. Here we go. Wait. Crazy, right? That was me. I bumped into the table here. If you heard something rattle, that was me. But that door opening up.
Paved. Quite clean.
The trip wires suddenly went nuts, and then, almost on cue, the door slowly opens by itself. Skeptics argue structural shifts could trigger the wires, but paranormal experts would say something else entirely. They believe abandoned spaces can act like containers, especially if something tragic happened there. If investigators actively try to communicate, they're essentially knocking on whatever door exists between worlds. And sometimes, something knocks back. Abandoned buildings already carry risk, unstable floors, toxic air, human squatters. But if something unseen is also moving through the halls, that's a different kind of danger. So was this structural coincidence, or did something in that house finally respond to being called out? You decide. The following video was recorded by a woman named Simone during what was supposed to be a normal evening walk. Watch closely. If you pause at the right moment, you'll notice a dark figure leaning against a tree before it suddenly darts away. At first, Simone brushed it off. Maybe it was a trick of the light, maybe someone was hiding. But what unsettled her wasn't just what she saw, it was what she felt after leaving the area. Even when she had completely walked past the tree line, she couldn't shake the sensation that someone was still behind her, matching her pace. On her way home, she passed a strange building she'd never paid attention to before. This time, she went in. As she steps inside the dark room, look toward the right side of the door near the end of the clip. Something shifts behind it. Simone later said that's when the idea first crossed her mind. What if whatever she saw near the tree wasn't random? What if it was watching her? A few evenings later, she passed the same building again, and this time she heard a voice that sounded exactly like her sister calling her name.
I don't know why the lights are on, but I'm going inside of this house. I just heard my sister's voice, and I'm sick of this. And I need to figure out what's going on so I can put a stop to it. Why is this chair in the middle of the floor?
Mimicking entities are considered particularly dangerous. They don't just appear, they imitate familiar voices to lure people closer. When Simone stepped inside, she noticed a chair positioned strangely in the middle of the room. Before she could even finish talking, she saw the figure again. After that encounter, she convinced herself the entity was attached to the abandoned house, not her. But that assumption didn't last long, because soon after, her own home stopped being quiet. Banging at night, footsteps when she's alone, whispers she can't trace, and an overwhelming sense of fear that comes without warning. One day, a friend visited after hearing everything, and this happened.
Hey guys, it's Simone again.
You kidding me?
Yeah. So I'm here with my friend Lexi, and I thought that this was over, but it's still happening. Something from this entity is still trying to get to me, so...
I thought you were kidding.
No.
Like, this is horrible.
I'm not kidding.
I don't know how you've been living like this. This is literally, like, I've checked this door 5 times. There's no way anyone is in the backyard.
So, still going on, and I just wanted to come back and report to you guys that it's still impacting my life every day.
I'm so sorry. This is insane.
Here's the unsettling theory. If the activity followed Simone home, then this may not be about a haunted location anymore. It could be attachment, a phenomenon where an entity fixates on a person rather than a place. And attachments, according to paranormal researchers, rarely fade on their own. It's hard to walk away from something like this without answers, but Simone isn't ready to stop investigating until she understands what's happening. Now, this strange video was posted on December 27th, 2025 by a veterinary hospital in Madison, Alabama. But what makes it even more unsettling is that the footage itself had reportedly been kept private for nearly 4 years. According to the clinic's owner, Renee, something happened that night that caused all employees on shift to stop what they were doing. Have a look.
That's weird. Where is that coming from? It don't sound like it's coming from. Okay, so you still want to do banana bags, 15 mils an hour, head of starch, 4 mils an hour. It's coming from over this way. Alright. off the ideal. Wait, is it Scarlet? Clicked it off? Wait. I clicked it off before getting minutes. Is somebody trying to dog up there? What's coming from up there? They may have done that when they switched the bag. Is it the new bag? Really? No. Alright, who's making that noise? What's in the lobby? It's coming from the lobby. No, it's not. Where is that? It's not in here. What is that? What, phantom dogs? That's not weird. Is it Charles? You heard that, right? We all heard that. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything. What did you hear? A dog keeps yapping. Is it Dakota? No. Look, it's coming from over here. Why don't you look in the front porch and make sure they didn't dump one or throw one of the pin outside or something? I didn't hear anything. You're not hearing that. Three of us heard it. I didn't hear it, no. You heard it, right? I heard it. I didn't hear it. It sounds like it's coming from this side. You can't hear it at ISO though, right? No. Look at that fence out there and make sure somebody throw one of the fence. I heard nothing. I was like, what are y'all talking about? Yeah, that's a brand new bag. That's fucking bizarre. Yeah. That's I haven't heard it. I still haven't heard it. All three of us heard it. And it was coming from that. It sounded like it was in that room or something. Like it sounded like it was like right where you're bored. We're gonna play that back. I didn't even hear anything. Can you play it like specifically in those rooms or anything?
After reviewing the footage, Renee says there was no logical explanation for what they witnessed. And this wasn't an isolated event. Over time, strange activity became almost routine inside the clinic. Dog kennels securely latched would open on their own in the middle of the night. Office supplies and lightweight equipment were found scattered across rooms that had been locked. Staff members reported hearing scratching sounds coming from empty runs long after the last patient had gone home. Sometimes, motion sensors would trigger in rooms where no animal was being treated. For a veterinary hospital, that detail hits differently. Because this isn't just any building, it's a place filled with heightened emotion, fear, grief, relief, heartbreak. It's where some families say goodbye to beloved pets, and many pet owners will tell you that after their animal passes, they still hear the faint scratch at the door, still feel the weight at the foot of the bed, still think they see a quick shadow dart past in the hallway. Some believe animals, especially loyal ones, linger, and that's the theory whispered among staff, that perhaps some of the dogs who passed away in that clinic never fully left, that the scratching isn't imagination, and that the kennel's opening isn't mechanical failure. So what do you think? Is it residual energy, emotional imprints replaying themselves, or something else using the setting to its advantage? Renee says she doesn't know what's in her clinic, but she's no longer convinced it's empty after closing time. The following video is about Nate, a man who still hasn't been able to figure out what exactly he's dealing with or how to stop it. Over time, the activity in his house has gone from unsettling to genuinely alarming. He's been waking up with unexplained scratches on his body and hears footsteps moving through the house when no one else is there. One morning, after finishing his workout and preparing breakfast, he started hearing a clicking sound. At first, he assumed it was the TV, maybe even the heat vent, but after listening more closely, he realized the sound was coming from the kitchen. It sounded exactly like a stove burner clicking, the noise it makes right before igniting. Concerned it could be a gas issue, Nate rushed into the kitchen to check, and that's when this happened. Watch.
The pan is still on the stove, still warm. All the burners are off. But I kept hearing the clicking, like the burner was trying to come on. Like I said, I just finished cooking. I was sitting there drinking my coffee, and I was hearing and it sounded like it was... Bro. Why with the knives? Why with the knives? Why? Why with the knives?
The clicking sound alone was disturbing, because this was the first time it had ever happened. But what really pushed viewers into panic was what followed: the knife. For the fact that this wasn't the first time, many believe this moment marks a shift in whatever Nate is dealing with. Paranormal researchers often say there's a difference between passive activity, noises, footsteps, shadows, and intentional aggression. Throwing objects, especially sharp ones, is widely considered a warning sign. And the most terrifying part is that Nate hasn't figured out what to do next. So, until more updates are given, this case remains completely unsolved. This next video was captured by a home security camera. Around 2 a.m., the homeowners received a motion alert and decided to check the footage, expecting maybe an animal or someone passing by. But what they saw left them shaken. Watch. The family replayed the clips several times, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. When they were unable to come up with a logical explanation, they shared the footage with a few of their neighbors, hoping someone might recognize the figure, or at least explain why it looked so disturbingly human. The video ended up spreading, and longtime residents of the area immediately knew who, or what, the figure resembled. According to locals, the apparition looks strikingly similar to a woman who died in a car accident near that very stretch of road back in 1948. For decades, people who've lived in the area have quietly shared stories about a woman seen walking late at night, appearing briefly, then vanishing without a sound. Some believe spirits tied to sudden deaths don't realize they're gone, repeating the same path night after night. Others think certain locations become imprinted with trauma, replaying fragments of the past like a broken recording. What makes this even more unsettling is that the family who captured this footage had only recently moved in. They had no knowledge of the area's history, no stories passed down, no warnings. So for now, all anyone can hope is that appearing and disappearing in the dead of night is all she ever does. Now, in this next clip, Kyle heads down to his basement early in the morning, and this time it's nothing like what he's dealt with before. In the past, it was children giggling, soft footsteps, the sound of something small moving around. But this morning, it's loud and violent. Watch.
Footsteps all freaking night. Who's knocking on my basement door?
Let's go back upstairs.
When the noise stopped, Kyle opened the door and found no one there. At first, he went for the simplest explanation. Maybe someone heard him coming and ran, maybe it was a prank, or maybe there's a logical reason he just hasn't thought of yet. But that theory falls apart almost immediately. Outside, the ground is covered in fresh snow. If anyone had been down there, child or adult, there should have been footprints leading away from the house, but there were none. Whatever was by the door didn't leave the way a physical person would, or maybe it didn't need to leave in the first place, because it's in the house just changing how it manifests. Some believe this suggests the activity is evolving, because it once sounded playful, now it feels aggressive. For Kyle, this isn't just another strange moment to shrug off, it's another unanswered question in a situation that keeps escalating and becoming harder to explain. So until more updates are shared, this one remains unsolved. In this next video, a family says they've been tormented by relentless knocking late at night. Sometimes it's light, other times it turns into aggressive banging on the front door, loud enough to send the children into tears. The father has tried everything he knows, cleansing the house, daily prayers, asking for protection, and each time it works, but only temporarily. One night they woke up again, but this time it wasn't knocking that pulled them out of sleep. Listen closely.
Sí, pero... No. Pero no es... No, ya sabes que no es la niña, ya no va a ir aquí. Ya sabes que no es la niña. Pues espérate. Está aquí afuera, ¿ah?
Sí, no habrá pasado algo.
No, tú tranquila, no pasó nada, es eso que nos habla. Pero no le voy a abrir. Voy a bajar. No mames, güey. Ah, cabrón. Miren, amigos, no hay nadie. Es de madrugada y mis hijos no están, se fueron a dormir con su abuela. No hay absolutamente nadie. Escuchan los ruidos. Uy. Escuche. Yo creo que ya no es hora de estar... Se escuchó aquí. Son casi las 2 de la madrugada. Ya les mostré. No hay absolutamente nadie. Ya está todo cerrado. Está todo cerrado y me voy.
What immediately unsettled viewers is that the voices being heard sound like a girl, yet the kids in the house who are old enough to speak weren't even home that night. But there's another detail people couldn't ignore. In the house is a Labubu doll. While Labubu is widely known as a collectible designer toy, online forums are filled with unsettling stories tied to it. Some owners claim their dolls move slightly when no one is around. Others report unexplained knocking, whispering, or a sudden shift in atmosphere after bringing one into their home. A few even say activity escalated after prayers or cleansing, a detail that eerily mirrors this family's experience. Skeptics argue the doll is just a coincidence, a harmless object becoming a focal point because fear needs something tangible to attach to. But others believe objects don't have to cause paranormal activity to become anchors for it, especially in homes where something already seems to be present. What makes this case disturbing is the pattern. The knocking stops after cleansing, then returns, the voices mimic children who aren't there, and whatever is happening doesn't seem driven away, just temporarily pushed back. So is the doll acting as a trigger? Or is this something entirely unrelated, using familiar sounds to provoke fear? I'll leave you to be the judge on this one. Now, this next clip was recorded inside a retirement home, a building with a quiet but unsettling history. Long before it became a care facility, the property reportedly served as a private infirmary in the early 1900s, taking in patients who were considered too difficult for hospitals at the time. Several former staff members have claimed that deaths were frequent, poorly documented, and often handled during overnight hours to avoid upsetting residents. Over the years, rumors spread about certain rooms being avoided by night nurses, especially those on the upper floors. At around 3 a.m. one morning, this happened.
Oh, I know where that's at.
We have left God's path to follow our own. The sins of us all. I can't think of any better reason to do the next good thing today, so let's pass on. I'm Alex, and this reverse of the day. I'm positive, encouraging Caleb.
We work with a lot of dead people.
What makes this moment disturbing is where the man recording was standing. Before the radio started blaring, he was directly below the room and didn't hear a single footstep above him. So, who turned it on? At first, staff tried to brush it off as a one-time glitch, but about an hour later, it happened again.
Dude, no. 'Cause no. Dude, no.
Oh, hell no. It turned on again? You're lying.
And someone had to turn the dial all the way the other way for it to be doing this. I don't know what's going on.
Again this time, there were no signs of anyone entering or leaving the room. Months later, after a string of more subtle occurrences, doors found unlocked, lights switched on in empty rooms, the faint sound of movement in halls long after residents were asleep, the man experienced something far more unsettling. Listen closely.
I am hearing shit. And it sounds like me.
Different words can be heard clearly. Phrases like, "What are you doing?" And then, as he stood on the stairs, a voice saying, "She's coming." In places like retirement homes, where residents, nurses, and night staff move quietly through dim corridors, some believe spirits linger, attached to routines, rooms, or even specific people. So what's the case here? Now in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his investigation inside the infamous Boyd house. His next stop was the children's room, a space filled with old, unsettling dolls. The last time Ian was here, this section of the house left him more shaken than any other. This time, he carefully scanned the room, trying to see if anything or anyone was present.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god. Holy moly. I'm not alone. I am not alone in here. Okay, just calm down. Let's take a look.
What makes this moment especially disturbing is that just moments earlier, Ian had clearly seen the bear sitting completely still beneath the chair. As if that wasn't enough, just as Ian prepares to leave the room and move on to the next section of the house, something else happens.
Look in that room with the cursed painting again? I don't know.
Oh, what the? What the?
What the? That sounds like jiggling, like a doorknob.
Who's in here? The hairs on my arm are standing on end right now. I literally heard like a jiggling sound. It sounded like a doorknob. I don't know. Is it this one? Did you just jiggle this doorknob? Maybe it was one of the dressers. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. I could hear it. It is coming from the closet. Look at that. That thing is moving. I can hear that clear as day. Why are you jiggling that doorknob? Are you in the closet? Just trying to keep my camera on it in case it moves. Look at it. Dude, it is moving. Do you hear that? Look at it. Is there someone behind this? There's gotta be someone. Look at that, dude. You can literally see it moving. Dude, the door is moving. Oh my god. Oh, jeez Louise. That door is shaking.
The closet doorknob began rattling violently on its own, as if someone was standing just on the other side, trying to get out. This wasn't the sound of settling wood or a loose latch. The movement was forceful. Children's rooms are often said to be hotspots in haunted locations, not because of the children themselves, but because spirits are believed to use toys and familiar objects to provoke attention or fear. And in this case, it feels less like playful activity and more like something reacting to Ian's presence. The question is, was whatever moved the bear the same thing trying to get out of that closet, or something else entirely? This investigation is far from over. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following clip was recorded by a man named Nate, who has spent months trying to understand what's happening inside his house. His experiences didn't begin all at once. They built up slowly. First, it was the voices, faint, unclear, and easy to dismiss. Then came the scratches, thin marks appearing on his skin overnight with no explanation. And then the kitchen became the center of it all. Objects shifting, things falling, and disturbances that made it impossible for more than a few quiet days to pass. But one morning, everything felt different and too quiet until this happened.
So I'm in the middle of working out, and I hear shuffling and banging coming from the kitchen or the basement. I'm not sure which one. It was loud though, super loud. I almost dropped the weights, it was so startling. Hello? I was just in there working out. Nobody in the kitchen. Back door is locked. Nobody here, of course. What the fuck? Okay. I don't understand that. What the fuck?
After Nate says hello, a voice responds, "You hear me?" Then when Nate says, "I don't understand," something whispers again, but whatever it says isn't fully clear. Many viewers believe the voice sounds like a child, meaning the spirit of a child might be attached to the home, especially since child spirits are often associated with scattering objects and trying to get attention. But others aren't convinced it's harmless because scratches, whispers, and intelligent responses don't always point to something innocent. But I'll leave you to be the judge. Now, this next clip was captured by a family's CCTV camera, and it's the exact moment the father finally stopped dismissing everything his family had been experiencing. For months, strange things had been happening inside their home. The kids would run into the room crying, saying they saw someone standing nearby. His wife would occasionally freeze mid-conversation, convinced she had just heard a voice close to her ear. But every time, he reassured them it was nothing. Stress, imagination, or the house settling. Until one evening when he was alone babysitting their youngest child while working on his computer. Watch this.
Ball. He's not catching ball with you? Yeah. You need somebody to play ball?
As you can see, the refrigerator door suddenly opens on its own. He immediately stands and walks toward it, clearly expecting to find someone standing there, maybe one of the kids or an explanation he could finally point to. But there's nothing. Some people believe this could be a poltergeist, a type of presence known for physically interacting with objects, opening doors, and making its presence known in subtle but deliberate ways. And now, for the first time, he's no longer trying to explain it away. He's trying to find answers. Until then, this remains unsolved. The following footage was captured by a CCTV camera in a woman's yard at around 3 a.m., an hour many people already associate with unexplained activity. At first, everything looks normal and the yard is quiet, still, and completely empty. But then, out of nowhere, something appears. Watch this carefully. After reviewing the footage, she said she couldn't convince herself it was anything normal. She insists there was no one outside that night, no neighbors, no visitors, no one who could explain what her camera captured. Moments like this raise a disturbing thought. Because every night, while most people are asleep, the world becomes quiet enough for other things to move unnoticed. Things that pass through empty streets, across silent yards, and disappear long before anyone ever realizes they were there. The camera simply caught what the human eye wasn't meant to see. So the question is, what exactly walked through her yard that night? You decide. This next video was recorded by a woman who works at a 911 dispatch center, a place where every call could mean the difference between life and death. And if you've ever worked late nights in a building like that, you know how quiet it gets. Because once the calls stop coming in, once the radios fall silent, there's nothing left but empty hallways, dim lights, and your own thoughts. But in her case, she wasn't alone. She had already been experiencing strange things for weeks. Phones would ring. Even though they weren't connected to any active line, drawers would slowly slide open on their own, and sometimes, in the middle of complete silence, she would hear what sounded like someone whispering her name. The scariest part? It all seemed to begin the exact day her boss mentioned relocating the dispatch center to a new building, almost as if something there had heard it and didn't want them to leave. Watch this.
So, not work again. Poulter's acting up as we're now referring to her. And maybe it's somebody. I don't know. Nobody should be here. There's literally no one here.
Places like this hold more than equipment and desks. They hold emotion, panic, fear, and final words. Dispatchers are often the last voice someone hears before everything changes forever, so a lot of people believe that kind of energy doesn't simply disappear, and in this case is finally revealing itself. After she posted that footage, viewers urged her to try communicating with whatever was there. Some believed it might be trying to get her attention. Others warned her never to acknowledge it, saying that recognition can make activity worse. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened.
So, y'all have been following my Polter diaries here lately. So I'm pretty sure there's something standing in the doorway to the break room. Am I crazy, or is that somebody standing there? Y'all see that?
The moment she notices the movement, her entire body freezes, because this time, there's no denying it. Something is there with her. Her boss eventually stepped in, promising she wouldn't have to work alone anymore, but his decision wasn't just about protecting her, it was about confirming if what she was saying was true. One night, she returned, this time with someone else present, and what they captured next changed everything.
Hey guys, this is just an update to let you all know that I'm okay. I'm back at work today, but I'm no longer working by myself. I have someone here with me. Everything's been fine so far. We haven't had anything today, so... And here we go. What was that? What? It came from the hallway. Oh my god. No. Oh my god.
The thought that someone was in the attic or came out from the attic unsettled them. And since that night, there's been no clear explanation of what was truly inside that dispatch center, only the footage, and the disturbing possibility that some places remember every emergency that ever happened inside them. Now, in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian visits one of the most feared and talked about locations in Indiana, the Blackford County Jail, hoping to understand why so many unexplained incidents are still being reported there. Built in the late 1800s, the jail once held inmates, law enforcement, and the sheriff himself under the same roof. Over time, stories began to surface. Visitors reported hearing footsteps when no one else was inside. Others claimed to hear doors moving, objects shifting, and sounds that resembled someone quietly working in empty rooms. Ian enters the building fully aware of its history, so he begins by trying to communicate with whatever might still be there. For a while, nothing responds, until this happens.
All right, well, it's pretty quiet, so I think I'm gonna move on. Whoa, what the? Okay, Ed, I feel like you were definitely in here. What the heck was that? That was so weird. What the heck? Dude, that literally sounded like somebody was in there. What the heck? It was so quiet in there. Like nothing was happening. And then right when I walk out, that happens.
As he prepares to leave the sheriff's office, a very distinct sound breaks the silence. It sounds exactly like a coffee cup being placed down on a hard surface. Ian immediately goes back inside to check, but there's nothing there. But as he's about to leave again, this happens.
Dude, there's nothing on these tables. Nothing up there. Ed, I'm definitely not going to try to tell you what to do, being a sheriff, but man, like that was interesting. Could you do that again? It's dead silent in here again. You know what? I'm gonna try walking out again. Okay, Ed. I'm leaving for sure this time. No f***ing way, dude. Again! Again! Dude, there's weird sounds going on in there. Every time I walk out, it happens. That's twice. That can't be like a coincidence. It sounded like paper almost. Alright, Ed, I can't tell if you're like messing with me now or what. I mean, either way, it's fine. I'm enjoying this.
This time, he heard the sound of paper moving, as if someone was inside the office, the very room where paperwork would have been handled daily, reports would have been written, and cases would have been reviewed. So was that the sheriff's ghost still doing his office duties? Or something else entirely? The following video was recorded by a woman who shares her paranormal experiences online. And this particular night, she says she got more than she bargained for. She sleeps in the bottom bunk of a bunk bed. And on this night, at 3:33 in the morning, she had her phone pointed up toward the top bunk when something caught her attention. That time, 3:33 a.m., carries weight for a lot of people who follow paranormal activity closely, sometimes called the Devil's Hour, a window where unexplained events are said to spike in frequency. She'd been lying there unsettled when she noticed the gray blanket hanging over the edge of the top bunk. Watch.
Hace apenas 2 días, toda mi familia y yo presenciamos, nos tocaron la puerta, era la 1:15, 1:20, la verdad exactamente no sé los minutos, pero era pasado 1 de la mañana. Obviamente, iban a abrir la puerta y yo no, o sea, ¿qué pedo? No la abras, o sea, claro que no. Primero buscamos una lógica de que si hubiera caído algo dentro de la casa, algo que hubiera hecho un ruido que como que pareciera que estuvieran tocando, algo dentro del closet, algo dentro de una bodega, algo en la lavandería, algo que azotara la pared, ¿sabes? No había nada. Todo estaba en su lugar. Efectivamente, tocaron afuera 3 veces, fueron 3 golpes. Si alguien sabe qué significa 3 golpes, de que así, 3 veces, fuerte, a la 1 de la mañana, todos lo escuchamos, todos. Inclusive mi familia que está viendo la tele a todo volumen en la sala, escucharon. Tanto como yo que estaba en otra habitación, todos escuchamos.
The blanket is slowly and deliberately pulled upward, tucked, almost, and then it's gone from view entirely, with no one visibly on the top bunk doing it. Her reaction afterwards says everything. She describes how the blanket moved and, impossibly, a small hair clip she keeps on the top bunk appeared from underneath a pillow she says there was no natural way for it to have moved beneath. She muted the audio from the moment it happened because, in her own words, she screamed very badly. That kind of raw, unscripted panic is hard to fake. Some viewers think someone off-frame caused the blanket to move, but others point out the smooth, upward motion doesn't match a simple snag or fall. Either way, it clearly shook her. This next clip was recorded inside what appears to be a child's bedroom. A bright, ordinary room with a bunk bed, a white dresser, and string lights along the wall, at just after 8 in the morning, according to the security camera timestamp. The woman in the footage is simply picking out clothes, going about a completely routine start to the day in what the footage suggests is Sarah's room, when the atmosphere of the whole clip shifts in a matter of seconds. There's a dog, a large fluffy one, that wanders in and out of the closet, and for a moment everything looks completely normal. Then, it got worse. There's no one else in the room, but you can tell from the way she slowly looks up toward the ceiling that she hears what comes next. Something running. Not something shifting or settling, but rapid thumping and scraping from directly above, like something scrambling across the ceiling space. Then come the knocks. 2 sharp bangs, then 3 more in quick succession, and she flinches hard at the first set. Many believe this kind of layered activity, sounds without sources, doors moving without contact, voices with no origin, points to what's often called poltergeist phenomena, a term rooted in German meaning noisy ghost, traditionally associated with environments where a child is present. Skeptics might argue a pet in the walls or loose ductwork, but that doesn't easily explain the way the dog reacted, like it knew something was there even before the woman noticed something was not right. Now, in this next clip, a couple is at home late at night when something appears in the doorway of their bedroom, and what makes this one so hard to shake is the way it just stands there, watching. The man holding the camera is in the middle of reciting the Lord's Prayer in Spanish when he spots it, which tells you something about what kind of nights they've apparently been having in this house. You don't pray over a quiet bedroom unless something has already been pushing you to that point. His voice is calm at first, steady, like he's done this before. Watch.
Que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad así en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas así como nosotros perdonamos a quien nos ofende. No nos dejes caer en tentación y líbranos del mal. No mames. Lárgate de aquí. Lárgate. Lárgate. Lárgate de aquí. Lárgate, demonio. Vete de aquí. Está cabrón. A ver. Vete. Vete. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. ¡A la madre, puta! Hijo de tu puta madre, güey. ¡A su virga, güey! ¡A su madre! No mames, cabrón. ¡Lárgate! ¡Lárgate! Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad así en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas así como nosotros perdonamos a quien nos ofende. No nos dejes caer en tentación y líbranos de mal. Amén. Oh, poderoso Dios, ayúdanos, protégenos.
The figure peeks from behind the door frame. Dark hair, humanoid shape, mostly still. And the moment the man registers what he's seen, the prayer stops cold. He starts screaming commands in Spanish, telling it to get out, calling it a demon, invoking the blood of Christ, before finally slamming the door shut with enough force to shake the camera. When he pans back to the woman in the bed, she's holding a small child wrapped in a blanket, both of them frozen with fear. For some viewers, the religious framing is the most telling detail. The fact that he went straight to spiritual commands rather than assuming an intruder suggests this wasn't the first time something like this had visited that doorway. Others think the figure could be explained as a person, though the way it pulls back and disappears the moment he reacts is difficult to square with that. When he finally opens the door and checks the hallway, there's nothing there. So what exactly was standing in that doorway? And why was it watching?